Hello, welcome back to my channel. How is everyone? If you're not dead to the world and you follow social media, there is a thing on Twitter called the 5 books to get to know me type thing. And I'm probably going to tread on some people's toes, and probably someone has done this already, but these are 10 books to get to know me tag, my version, if there is a previous one. So before we get going, it's very simple. It's 10 books that you feel if someone wanted to get to know you, you could read. Like, you should tell them to read, and why. So the first one is Watchmen. Watchmen is a graphic novel and by the fantastic Alan Moore. It deals in an alternative 80s. Superheroes are a modernized product. Most of them are just vigilantes. There's one person with superpowers, but that's it. This is groundbreaking. This was a fantastic graphic novel series in its day, and it's one that I revisit many times. It's just great writing, just great fun, but it deals with politics, social justice in such an intelligent way. That's Watchmen. It's intelligent, it's switched on. There was a great film adaptation of Watchmen as well, which is fantastic, by the way. The TV series, which was a sequel to the graphic novel, wasn't so good. It was really clumsy with its messages and it felt forced, but you know what? That last episode of that was really good, but the graphic novel and the film is where it's at. Watchmen. So yes, that's Watchmen. The second one is Call Me By Your Name. This is a book of first love, set in the 80s in Italy. It's beautifully written. The language is floral. I relate to the characters, and I think it feels so real, of that first interaction, that first foil into sexuality when you were young. I was far younger than Elio when my first foils happened, but it's a beautiful book and just charming and stunning, and I love it. To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. This is a beautiful classic. Again, floral, flowery language. It deals with racism. Sometimes the innocent party doesn't always win. It's a coming-of-age story. I think it's one of those important books that we all need to read at least once in our lives. I think, I've banged on about it on my channel too many times now. I'm just going to refer you to one of those old videos. So that's To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. The Perks of Being a Wallflower. Now this one's a bit more interesting because this book I found as a teenager, and it really relates my teenage experience. Though maybe not to his extremes, but that kind of, it felt very real as a teenager. And even now, reading it as an adult, it still feels very real. It's charming, it's pretty, it's about genuinely nice people and a genuinely nice person who's dealing with a lot. So that's Perks of Being a Wallflower. Wuthering Heights. This was my gateway drug into classics. This is a gothic fiction. It is not a love story, contrary to popular belief. Wuthering Heights is about a group of selfish, horrible, unlikable people doing selfish, horrible things to each other for a generation. It's about class divide. It's about struggle. It's a fantastic book. It was quite controversial in its day. Wuthering Heights is a quintessential classic and a great part of the gothic fiction and classics canon. Beautiful book. Stardust by Neil Gaiman. Now this was a book I discovered via the film. I love the film, but the book is far darker. And Neil Gaiman is one of my favourite writers. And why it's not my favourite Neil Gaiman, it was the first I read, and I think the one that really introduced me to his work. Stardust is beautifully written. It's a charming fairy tale. It's got magic, it's got worlds, it's got a star, And it's one of those books that just is a gorgeous book. It's like chocolate in the best way possible. His Dark Materials by Pullman. Now, the His Dark Materials trilogy is one of the most important books to my childhood and life. It's adventure, it's swashbuckling, it's energetic, it parallel worlds and demons and witches and ice bears. But as an adult you read it and you're like, oh wow. So metaphysics, theology, atheism, all discussed within the pages of this book, but in a beautiful and subtle way. It's not heavy-handed with the discussion. Lyra and Co are fantastic. The BBC mini-series was stunning, and I'm so happy that they made that and we pretend that god-awful. Don't watch the film. Just don't watch the film, The Golden Compass. Just pretend it didn't exist. Big tip, though, for Americans watching this, please read the British editions of the books, because your versions are censored. So just putting that out there. Harry Potter the series. I'm so cheating with this one. This is a book that shaped my life, and it really represented the sort of my childhood, from when I was like 9, 10 years old, all the way until I was like 18. And just how important these books were and are to me. They're also the books that inspired me to write. And what can I say about Harry Potter that I've not said and no one has said before? They are fantastic, they're magical, and they get young people reading. They are important books. And they also changed the face of children's literature. You know, it was up until then, it was children's books with these little pulp type things. That's Harry Potter, the series. A newer book on my list. This is Station 11. I've talked about this in another video, but this really opened my eyes to post-apocalyptic fiction. Gorgeous book that is, you know, a ruined world, and how people cope with it, and how people cope with things in weird situations. It's a great read, and definitely one to I've talked about it in a recent video as well, and it's just one that I love. So that's Stations 11, and you know, I can't sing that book's praises more than I already have. And finally, The Weight of This World by David Joy. David Joy is a Southern noir writer who I'm working on a video about. He is a fantastic writer, and this was the first book of his that I read, and that's why I picked it for this list. It definitely sums up an effervescence with the world. It deals with real situations and people in horrible situations. Every Man, the trailer park guy. It deals with these things. Drugs, PTSD, real life, crime, whatever. It deals with it. His voice is so... He's one of the most unique writers I've read in a long time, and I cannot sing his praises more. So yes, that is David Joy. Who do I tag for this? So I'm going to tag A.G. McDonald. You are my favourite cartoon. I love you. I'm going to tag... This guy's not a booktuber, but I'm going to tag him anyway, RK Gold, because I think he'll be really interesting with this kind of video. So there we go. Ghost Reader, come on, I love you, and because of you I've read so many more books. I'm going to tag Book Invasion again, just because I love that guy. He is so chill. Oh, and I'm going to tag a classic tag, someone that I've not tagged in anything for ages. I'm going to... JD Estrada. He's a writer on this platform. He is fantastic, and I really like his work. If you like kind of 12 Monkeys, quite dark science fiction-y stuff, check him out. That is my tag. Tell me what you think in the comments below. If you guys want to do it, and off you go.